have a dog on my lap. We'll see how long he stays here. This is Conan. I'm Heather, and I like to sew. You may have seen me in videos before, mainly talking about knitting, but now I've just been sewing a lot lately. So last year I made a pair of pants out of this kind of crazy blue and white diamond print, and I kept the leftovers. I wanted to make a skirt out of it, and so this video is my adventure in sewing that skirt. So when I was looking for a skirt pattern to use with this fabric, I kept Googling the 1 yard skirt, 1 meter skirt. I knew I couldn't make anything really gathered because I didn't have that much fabric. And eventually I decided on the Deer and Doe Agave skirt, which is really cute. It's a wrap, and the front panel is slightly asymmetrical. The front panel of the wrap, and then the inner panel that you don't see has the bottom part sort of leveled off. So it's just the front panel that sort of hangs down in this neat point. There was a point partway through this process when I was trying to figure out, after I'd already bought the pattern, printed it, cut it out, taped it together, when I realized I was trying to conserve fabric, I should have chosen a wrap skirt because that's extra fabric on top of each other. Whereas if it wasn't a wrap, it wouldn't have that. with a lot of my projects. This has sat for more than a week now. I didn't finish when I thought I was going to finish it, and then it sat and nothing happened. But all we have to do now is figure out the waistband. Hopefully not mix up which is front and back and inside and outside, like I messed up which side was which of this facing. But yeah, it's just waistband, buttons, and buttonholes. So let's get going. You helping? You helping? You helping, little bed? Thank you for helping. Okay, so this skirt needs 2 buttons. Wow, that's a big button. And they're meant to be invisible, but I reserve the right, if I find something amazing, to put them on the outside. So I've actually got 2 button jars. This one has buttons in big sets that I've put together, or that came together. But it's usually more than 2. So I don't think I'm going to dive into that one. But I think I can probably find a pair of buttons in here somewhere. And actually these 3 should get added together. I just tie them together with some thread. Well, it's the same but smaller. And then they get stored in that button jar, so when I'm looking for sets of multiples, I can find multiples more easily. Oh, brass be cute. What do you think about the brass ones? I love going through my button jar. So that's too big. So ideally, I think we just want some plain, something like this guy. I think we may go with the 2 round with square marking. So here's the finished skirt. It's very cute. The worst thing I mean, there are a few pretty bad things that have happened on here. But I sewed this facing. I sewed the facing pieces together wrong because they looked very similar. Because the facing is just sort of this L shape, and I really should have marked which ones were the waistband ends and which ones were the hem ends that would then get joined together by the small straight piece that goes around the back at the hem. Because I sewed them together wrong, and then it didn't fit, and then I unpicked and sewed them back together the right way, but then I had lost a time. I think I'd already trimmed the seam allowance, so I lost some length. So there's a little bit of finessing to get that right. And then somehow the waistband pieces didn't line up, and I could not figure it out. Like, the skirt has 2 side seams, and the waistband has 2 side seams, and they should line up, right? They should. In person, it's a crazy pattern, so you can't really tell. But here, this is the right side seam. So that's where the side seam is on the waistband. That's where that finger is. And that's where the side seam is on the skirt. Why? I don't know. I must have cut something too short or too long. And actually there's an even bigger difference on the left side seam. That's the waistband. That's the skirt. That's like, it's a full inch. It's got pockets. You saw me put those in, so that's no surprise, but I feel the need to tell you anyway. I like it. I like it okay. It's not the best. I know it's not my best work. There's a lot of it's good enough. Adding an extra bit in the waistband and then messing up where the buttons go. I'm going to, right now it's pinned, but I think I'm going to add a little hook and eye at the top here where the front flap ends, just to keep it down. But yeah, it's cute. Obviously, I love the fabric. This sort of A-line shape isn't something I wear too often. I like a full skirt. I like a gathered skirt, so I don't wear this shape too often, but I think it's cute. It's kind of funny that the extra length is in the front, because where I usually need the extra length is at the back, because the back of my skirts are always shorter than the fronts. I like the facing. I like that I got to use some of my vintage seam binding, but I do think, had I not been trying to make this out of various leftovers, I probably should have used something thinner for the facing, because it does sort of tend to make it want to stand out like a bell, which is fine, I guess, but cute little summer skirt with pockets for no money, because it's all stashed stuff I had. These are the pants I made of the same fabric, whenever that was, last summer or 2 summers ago, and they're crazy. I mean, I love a crazy pattern, but they're crazy. They're slightly cropped. Again, this is a theme with a lot of my projects. Are they the best? No. Is there a little too much fabric or something going on here? Yes. Still good enough that I wear them to work every now and then when I'm feeling crazy. Yeah, I was concerned when I was cutting the pattern pieces out that something with the diamonds might happen here that would be bad, but it didn't, I don't think. I was also concerned that there might be like eyes on the butt, which, I mean, not really. They do fit slightly differently than they did last year, but that's to be expected. I've got more of my vintage seam tape in the cuff. Oh, actually, this stuff I actually hand sewed those cuffs for that hem. Put it on. It was so loose. It was way too loose. So I moved the buttons. It's still a little looser than I would like, although at this point I'm going to wait and put it through the laundry, because although this fabric has been pre-washed, I just want to wash it a time or two again before I move any more buttons. But part of the problem now is after replacing the buttons, there's this little flappy flap of the wrap because originally the button was more here and then it tacked this down. So now I think I need to add in a hook and eye or a snap or something. But again, that's waiting until it has a chance to go through the laundry. But I'm also happy that I managed to make a whole entire garment out of stuff that was just in my stash cupboard. The facing, the fabric, the buttons, the thread, everything I had on hand. Interfacing, I had that. I'm excited to do some more accurate, really following the directions sewing and not just going, oh, I know how this goes together. It's just a skirt and a waistband. And yeah, and I have worn this. I have worn it to work. I pinned the little flappy at the top of the waistband. No one said anything. It didn't fall off. It definitely felt too loose. So we'll see what happens after this goes through the laundry and maybe I wear it to work another couple times. I'm really excited to be doing some of these videos about some of my current projects. I have some exciting things planned about my past projects, like this guy, some planning, and I'm really excited to talk about sewing. These videos are not tutorials. This one in particular is a lesson on how not to do something, how not to follow that particular pattern. But I think it's fun just to share my sewing process, and I'm excited to share the things that aren't perfect. I don't sew everything perfectly. I don't always have everything that the pattern says exactly that you need, and sometimes I just do it anyway, or I figure out my own way. And I think it's interesting to see that sort of mid-level. Like, I'm not a beginner, not an expert, just your average sewist with a cuter than average dog who sometimes sits on my lap while I sew and sometimes sits on my lap while I talk to the camera. Should they subscribe, Conan? Do you want the nice people watching to subscribe? Yes.